Greetings, YouTube. Today is going to be a discussion of sexual assault, so be aware that there will be triggers for those that have experienced this, and particularly those who have had negative experiences with law enforcement in relationship to sexual assault. While working with the Chicago Police Department, Rebecca Campbell, PhD professor at Michigan State University, was told by a detective that most victims lie about sexual assault. She, on the other hand, was certain that most victims told the truth. Wondering how both she and the detective could be so certain, she began to do research to find out. Her work examines how the legal, medical, and mental health system respond to the needs of adult, adolescent, and pediatric victims of sexual assault. And then there's a second warning for graphic descriptions of assault. When she asked how they can be so certain that victims are making a false report, police said, and these are direct quotes, "The stuff they say makes no sense. I see them hedge, making it up as they go along. They lie all the time. I can tell. It's good that we employ psychic cops, I guess. No way it's true. No way no one would act like that if it was true. They can't get their story straight." A 15-year veteran police officer commented, "So, no, I don't always believe them. And yeah, I let them know that. And they say, never mind, I don't want to do this. Okay then, complaint refused to prosecute, case closed. How friggin' convenient! Book's closed. Don't have to worry about it. Victim says nothing happened." We know that Campbell notes that we know from criminal justice research is that we have a problem with case attrition. Most cases don't move very far through the system. It's happening very early on, and now we have some insight into how it is happening, and we have some important clues about why it's happening. That there's something about victims' behavior that the members of the legal community may not be understanding. And there you have it, folks. Now, in my state of New Hampshire, they recently created, in parallel to a physical first aid training program, a mental health training program. I haven't had a chance to contact the people in charge of this, but as soon as I get a chance to, I'm going to see how much it costs, and I'm going to see if I can get on board for that. My personal experience with anxiety and depression, and the fact that I have been deeply involved in cognitive behavior therapy, I think will give me a leg up in that training. And I would like to have it. But that kind of training, mental health first aid, should be required of every cop, every defense lawyer, every prosecuting lawyer, and everyone in the medical field. Everyone. I have forgotten the number of people in the medical field, non-mental branch of the medical field, the doctors, nurses, things like that, physicians, that have absolutely no idea how to deal with people who suffer from some form of mental or emotional issue. They toss off thoughts and advice like monkeys flinging poo, and it's about as useful. Actually, it's more damaging, because monkeys fling poo at me, I wash the poo off, I'm good to go. Someone in the mental health field that doesn't know what they're talking about can give a piece of advice that can scar someone who already has wounds. And what a shock! Someone that has just experienced a sexual assault, a potentially violent sexual assault, isn't giving them the story in the manner that they expect to receive it. And so because they don't receive the story in the manner they expect to receive it, they say, well, the story didn't happen. That right there is bullshit. A big, heaping pile of bullshit. Our law enforcement system is letting down the survivors of sexual assault. Can you imagine being a 6-year-old having to explain to someone what that was, what they went through? Or a 17-year-old, terrified, confused. They could potentially be suffering from the effects of a drug they were given. They could be suffering from the effects of threats they were given by their sexual assaulter. And then you've got a cop that says, walks into the situation knowing, most victims lie. I can tell. I'm friggin' psychic. Now, before anyone says it, yes, we know that there are false accusations of rape in the world. At approximately the same rate that there are false accusations of every other crime. Sexual assault is nothing special in that regard. It happens. It's horrible. It would be awesome if it didn't happen. But it would be also awesome if people didn't lie about arson and robbery and physical assaults and every other crime that people place false accusations with the police concerning. That would be great. But they do it. It doesn't mean that real arson, real robbery, real assault don't happen. And we have to stop blaming the people that have survived these experiences for the tiny minority, approximately 2%, of those that make false accusations. So just shut that right down. If someone tells you that they've been sexually assaulted, you've got a 98% chance that they're telling the truth. Now, I brought this up to someone here on YouTube once, and their response was, I was sexually assaulted yesterday. Do you believe me? After having just told me that they fully believe that 20 to 40% of all sexual assault accusations are false. How do you respond to that? The person is setting you up to fail. They're pushing their agenda at the cost of human suffering. That kind of ugliness is unfortunately a byproduct of anonymity. We don't know who each other are. We can put up false names, false identities. I, at least, I'm showing you my face. I'm telling you I'm a real person. Whether you believe me or not is up to you. But if I tell you I have suffered sexual abuse at the hands of adults when I was a child, I have. Whether you believe me is up to you. But if your actions harm my ability to heal, if your actions prevent the prosecution of those who attack others, then we have a problem as a society. And the law enforcement here in this example is showing us clearly that they do not know what they're doing when it comes to the survivor of sexual assault. That they are not only working in the dark, they are actively extinguishing the light. And we need to stop this. We need to train these people so that they are better equipped. Now, there's I suggest reading the comments on this particular thread because, again, Metafilter has a lot of signal-to-noise ratio. And one person makes a very important comment. And that's that she had the worst experiences in this regard dealing with female officers. And at first you'd think that would be kind of counterintuitive. But her experience is that these women had to fight to get into that boys' club. And some of them seem to think that they got there because they're better than other women. And this gives them an even worse position to work from. More obstacles in the path of their ability to empathize, sympathize, and have compassion towards the person they're talking to. And that's heartbreaking. So, read the article, read the comments. It's very interesting. It's a lot to chew on here. But we need to make sure that law enforcement does its job. And law enforcement isn't doing their job. And they aren't being properly trained. And we need to make sure they are. And it wouldn't take a lot. Just like I said, the mental first aid course would probably solve almost all these problems. Or at least mitigate enough of them that we could get a truer picture of these cases and make the experience of reporting them easier on the survivors. At the end of the day, that is all that matters.